Hi guys, it's your girl B. We're back and better than ever. We're back post break, okay? Some of you may have seen or may not have seen, but I did like one of those little community posts and I was like, hey guys, not doing too hot, gonna take a break, love you. So that was like 2 weeks ago. And I did that. I took a week off. Because when you think about it, I was just in grind mode. Growing this channel, as easy as it might look, it's been a hustle. It's been a hustle. So I think after hitting the milestone of 100K, I just like kind of hit a wall and I was like, you know, we did it. I'm super excited, but like I really need a moment to recover and reset. I started to notice that I was getting really irritable, really angry over quite honestly nothing, and being overly sensitive. Just there were a lot of little things happening, and when I was able to take a step back and be like, why do I feel this way? It boiled down to like, you are overworking yourself and your brain is trying to tell you that. And so one thing I've been trying to do more of is listening to those cues and listening to those signs and symptoms rather than just being like, oh, I'm just having a bad day. I try to take a moment, even if it's hard because I'm feeling so emotional. I still try to take a moment to be like, why is this coming up? There's always a why. And I think we kind of neglect how amazing and intelligent our bodies are. And our bodies are just trying to communicate to us so we know what to give it. But if you continue to suppress that, sweep it under the rug, just ignore those cues, that's when things progressively get worse and eventually blow up in your face. So once I started realizing that emotionally and just mentally, I was feeling not myself. I was having very irrational thoughts, you know, just things that I knew were out of the norm for me. I realized, okay, like I think I need a break. And to be honest, all this happened right after all this travel. So July, your girl was on tour. If you follow my Instagram, you saw I was living at the airport. Dallas Love Field. They should know me by my name now. But the first week of July, I had a bachelorette party. And then mid-July, we did the influencer trip to Turks and Caicos. And then after that, I took my siblings and AJ and I went to Ocean City. And so what I gathered from all of this is that the routine that I thrive off of and the introverted time that I have was just not there. And so what that does to me is it kind of makes me a crazy person. And I will say, it's the older I've gotten, the more I need that alone time to recharge. And it just wasn't happening because when I would come home in between those trips, I had so much work to catch up on, but I didn't have time to reset or even like get back into my routine, if that makes sense. Like even catching up on chores, I started to fall behind on just doing laundry. It was one suitcase to another. And I didn't do that on purpose. It's just the way our schedules worked out that all these trips fell into 1 month. But I think it's important to point out the fact that I had to realize, why am I acting this way? Why am I being more sensitive, more emotional, taking everything so personal? And I'm realizing the alone time I have is very crucial and my routine is very crucial. It helps me mentally reset and just feel a little bit more grounded. Anyways, when I started to see the signs and symptoms, I was like, okay, I'm gonna call it a break. And the thing that makes it confusing is like, I didn't feel like I was tired. I just knew from previous experience of not taking breaks that I needed a break and that these emotions were just a way of my body crying out for help. And it's not that you're crazy, I'm crazy, or whatever. It's that your body needs something specific to recharge. And we all have a different version of that, a different variation of that. Maybe for you, it's going to work out. Maybe it's connecting with your partner, having that quality time with no distractions. Maybe for you, it's having that alone time, binge watching Netflix. We all have something that helps us feel like connected to ourselves again. And we can't neglect that. So for me, it's that quiet time, that routine, like going back to the gym, being able to make my home cooked meals. You know, all of these things were lost in July for me because with all the travel, I was eating out for like every meal. I'm not feeling myself. I just felt kind of gross, to be honest, because I was missing my routine. So I established I need a break. And for me, the best I could do at that time was not post and focus on family. We've also had some other things going on, which I kind of alluded to in my Turks and Caicos vlog. Just a lot going on right now, and it's hitting from a lot of different angles. So just having some time to process everything that's going on within my career and also within family life, it was really important for me during that time to just take a minute, and I needed to put down work for a second to be able to do that. But of course, what came with that is immense guilt. The logical side of my brain realizes, Bria, you can take a break. It's not the end of the world. You're gonna be fine. But then there's another part of my brain, and I don't know what to call this part of my brain. It's probably the conditioned by society part of my brain that is telling me you can't take a break. I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling like I'm gonna fall behind. I'm feeling like if I take a break, I'm gonna be irrelevant. All these things are popping into my mind, which I know aren't necessarily true. However, it's making it so hard for me to pull the trigger and say, I'm gonna take a break. Honestly, guys, the reason I decided to post that I was taking a break is so I would actually do it. Because I knew if I didn't post that I was taking a break, I wouldn't take a full week of a break that I needed to take. Accountability. So if you guys see me posting about breaks, just know it's only because I know you guys will call me out, and that's exactly what happened. Like I was posting like other stuff. People were like, can you just take the break? Like, don't worry, we'll be here when you get back. And I so appreciate that, but it meant a lot. And I know you guys have my back, so that's why I do that. But what it also comes down to, like when you need to take a break for yourself and you're feeling guilty about it, ask yourself why you feel guilty. I think it's important for us to talk about why we can't just take a break without all this guilt attached to it, without all this pressure and all these other ideas that pop into our head where it's like, you can't just take a break and relax. There's always something that you feel like you have to show up for. And so I thought about it for myself, like, Bria, why do you feel like you can't just take a week break? You've worked continuously since the second week of January. This month was full of travel. You are mentally, physically, emotionally tapped out right now. Why do you think you can't take this break? And I thought about it and I was like, well, I feel like, you know, sometimes when I open up my phone and I'm on social media, I see what looks like my friends are working so hard and I feel like I need to keep up with them. Okay, writing that down. I mean, it's just important to be honest with yourself, right? And I also think about it too, and I'm like, I'm still a hard worker. If I take the break, if I don't take the break, but who am I validating? That's the question. Who am I proving that to? And I really didn't have a good answer because I'm like, well, I believe that I'm a good worker, but who am I trying to prove that to? And I realized that I had a pressure to prove that to other people who I don't even know. But for what? So that kind of helped me get past that thought. Like, okay, I don't need to prove anything to anybody that I'm a hard worker. I don't need to show that to anybody. I'm just going to take the break. Another reason I think it's hard for me to take breaks is because of the culture we grow up in. Hustle culture, okay? I mean, you think about it, there's so many little sayings. People say that oh my God, so cringy when people are like, no sleep. Like, you're not flexing if you're getting no sleep. Like, that is not a flex. I just hate when people throw that out there as if it's like, you're better than other people because you stayed up till 2 a.m. It's honestly great, but also it's terrible for your health. So it's not a flex. Rest is just as equally important as the grind. And if we can't see that, you're gonna find out in a very unfortunate way. So I'm thinking about hustle culture and just honestly living in America. There's that premise at the foundation of the American morals that like, if you're not a hard worker, you're not worth shit here. And that's also very toxic in a sense too, because like I've said in other videos, there are plenty of people who work hard and never see a return for it. So it's not just the hard work that makes somebody successful. And if you want more on that, go watch my abundance mindset video where I go deeper into why hard work is not the one size fits all recipe to success and living your dream life. There's so much more. You need to take care of yourself. You need to nurture what your body needs, what your mind needs, what your soul needs. It's a whole equation that's gonna help you get to where you need to be. But this constant drive to just work, outwork your coworkers, outwork your friends, it's not a flex. It's really not a flex. So I'm realizing like this mindset was put on me. it was put on me, and any bit of rest is equated to laziness, which that's not true at all. There is laziness and there is rest, and they are two separate things, and rest is honestly a responsibility that you have to take for your body. Your body needs rest, and if you neglect that part of everything, you are hurting yourself in the end. So a little example, you know I love to give an example. I'm gonna take you guys back to February 2021 with me. And the only reason I'm telling you this story is because I don't want you to have to go through it yourself. There was a time where I did not believe in breaks, where I refused to believe in rest. I was like, that is for the weak. The people I want to be like, don't take breaks. That's for lazy pieces of shit. I was very much so in a toxic mindset, and I get that now. I was greatly humbled by whatever you want to call it, God, universe, Jesus. They fully backhanded your girl and said,
sit the fuck down.
Okay, maybe Jesus did not say that, but somebody had me in a chokehold and was like, you're gonna sit down. And up until that point, I was just go, go, go. I was like, I gotta grind, I want success, I'm hungry for it, and that's good. But my body was not doing well. So for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with PMDD in 2018, and there are videos on that if you would like to know more. But long story short, instead of having PMS, I have depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, okay? We'll get more into that later, but with stress coupled with that is a very, very scary experience. Scary experience, dangerous experience. So, I mean, it got to the point where I don't know who was in here. It was scary. And eventually, you know, it was a physical toll that it took on my body. Like, I was just so achy. I was in pain all the time, like right before my period. And it gets to a point where you're just like, why? Why do I go through this every month, for a week every month? And it got to a really dangerous place for me. So at that time, I had a lot of things going on, and I kind of alluded to this in the last video where I told you guys my podcast is coming out, but my old podcast, the one that I don't record for anymore, the reason it had to end was because of the PMDD situation. It basically all blew up in my face when my health completely crashed, and I was forced to put the podcast down, which was devastating to me. Nobody knows how devastating it actually was. It was terrible. Because one thing, I hate quitting, but also, I was so angry at my body. I was like, how could you do this to me? You literally betrayed me, which, because I was hating on my literal body, it was like this sense of self-hatred towards myself. I was like, how dare you get in the way? And it's like so stupid looking back, because it's like, Bria, you literally were hating on your body because you couldn't do your podcast? It really wasn't that deep, but at the time it was everything to me, and I was just so angry. Like, how dare my body get in the way of this stupid chronic illness? You know, I was beyond myself. Scorpio energy, like, she was out, okay? But this could have been avoided. There were many times when I should have taken a break prior to that happening, where I might have been able to keep that podcast if I was willing to go get the help that I needed prior to everything blowing up. If I was willing to take better care of myself, it could have been avoided. I thought that I was invincible though. I thought, because nothing like that had ever happened to me, I thought nothing like that will ever happen to me. My health is great. I'm indestructible. I can continue to push myself through these things because I always had. But this was the first time I realized I'm not invincible. And what could have been, you know, maybe a 2-week break, maybe even a month break, ended up being a 6-month break. And what I mean by break was I was bedridden. I was in the bed. Losing the podcast kind of put me in a spiral mentally of a lot of things. So it kind of led to this very big depressive episode, and that kind of kickstarted everything. That's when I got on medication for PMDD for the first time. That's when I finally got into therapy. But prior to that, I was like, I'm gonna wing it. I'm just gonna wing it. I was a wing it kind of gal. I had to be humbled. I had to be humbled that if I don't have my health, I have nothing. And it's so true, you guys. If you don't take care of yourself, that means your mental health too. You have nothing. You can have all the success in the world, but if you neglect your body's needs and your mind's needs, you don't have anything. So it's important to tend to yourself first so that you can even enjoy the things that you're working towards. Because I'll tell you, hitting milestones during that period of time felt stupid because I was so depressed. Like there was no way you could elicit emotion out of me during that time. It's like, oh my gosh, Bria, you hit like a record month in brand deals. And I'm like, I feel nothing. And that was honestly worse than feeling sad because I got to a point of complete numbness. But it could have all been avoided. And I would never, not even on my worst enemy, wish that you could ever feel what I felt for that year. 2021, throw it out. Like I just, it's so uncomfortable for me to even think about. And it's bittersweet because like that was the year I got married. So the whole time my motivation was to get better so that I could enjoy that day to the fullest. And I did. But when I tell you it was work, it was truly work. And I realized how much damage I did to my body previously, the previous year, to get in a place where I had to literally dig myself out of a very, very deep hole. Please don't do that. I don't want that for you. Take the break before the break takes you. So I feel like it's important to realize through breaks what is important and why hopefully these points make it easier for you to choose to take the break rather than neglect it and push yourself towards what could be a mental or emotional or physical breakdown in the future. Number one being that everyone is replaceable. And I don't say this to diminish who you are and your strengths. I say this so that you realize if you take off a week from work, you're gonna be okay. Your company is gonna be okay. Yes, I'm sure you are an asset to your company, but at the end of the day, everyone truly is replaceable, and there are times when you're gonna have to lean on your coworkers or lean on your friends and family to help you get through these periods of rest. But you have to speak up and ask for that help. Rest are absolutely possible if you prep for them and give people the tools they need to support you while you take that time off. But I say that to remind you that it can be done. They can learn what you do. You don't have to feel like you're the only one that can do these things. Okay? And that can mean a lot of different things for everybody, but prep and plan for your breaks, okay? The next idea here, taking a break is not going to cause you to lose everything you've built and worked towards. That is a very low vibrational concept. And you have to ask yourself where that comes from, because I have that thought when I'm working hard. Like,
I'm not working hard enough, it's all gonna go away.
And I know what that is. That's little Bria, that's baby Bria, who doesn't want to go back to being that version. She's just looking out for me, but I have to also be the authoritative figure and say, baby B, we did not work this hard to still be this insecure. It is a constant battle. People think all of a sudden you like reach your goals and that goes away. I hate to break it to you. It doesn't go away. It's something I'm constantly battling, is reminding myself, my inner child, that I'm safe and that I have built a strong foundation, and it's taken years. So this doesn't just go away overnight. This is a work in progress, but I'm always having to kind of nurture that little voice because she's there to protect me, but also she's annoying. She's annoying as fuck. So love her through it. Love that version of yourself through it, and realize those little anxiety thoughts and, you know, irrational thoughts that come to mind are trying to look out for you, and you can still talk back to them. Your mind and body are letting you know what you need. I said this earlier in the video, but I need you to understand things don't just happen. If you understood that things are happening for a reason, you could start listening to your body and your mind and let that guide you rather than let it drive you. I hope that makes sense. But like I said, earlier in the month, me being irritable, angry, irrational, just overly sensitive, knowing that's not who I am on a regular basis, I was able to say something is not right now. And I'm finally at a place where I start to question it rather than just accept it and say, what is my body trying to tell me? Am I tired? What do I need right now? And that's when you need to get alone with your thoughts, meditate, journal, do something so that you can process why you're feeling this way, because it's not for nothing. Just like when I eat a bowl of queso and then I'm
blowing the bathroom up,
it's not for no reason. My body's telling me, bitch, you're lactose intolerant. The fuck? It's the same thing with our emotions and our mind too. So like, listen to that. Don't just neglect that. Don't just neglect the fact that you're lactose intolerant. I know most of you do, just like me, but that's besides the point. Listen, our bodies are so smart and they're communicating with us. listen. And through that listening, this brings me to my next point. Through listening to your body and learning kind of like the patterns that you have, learn what your triggers are. Learn when you might need breaks and plan ahead versus waiting for your body or your mind and your emotions to just collapse on you. Plan ahead for that stuff. For example, so I always know that during the holiday season, that's like one of the busiest times for influencers usually, because there's so many brand deal opportunities for like Christmas, Black Friday, New Year's, so much going on. So it's a great opportunity to like really take on some deals that you want to take on. However, usually after Christmas, I'm feeling really depleted. So I just go ahead and plan for a break in the new year. That might be a little bit longer than the typical break because I go on like a 3-month bender of content, like pumping out more content than usual. So because of that, I don't need to wait for this to happen for me to have an emotional breakdown. I've done this for a few years now where I know go ahead and plan for that. And even if I don't feel like I need the break, sometimes it's a mental break, sometimes it's an emotional break, and it's not as obvious, but know your triggers. Another one could be now, since I know like going on all these trips, group trips, mind you, I need alone time to recharge my social battery after. Okay, there's nothing wrong with me like doing more group trips than usual, but I also know it drains me more than normal. So I can't just go on 3 group trips and then jump back into work. That's not gonna fly. So knowing how I am with my social battery, I need to plan for a little bit of a buffer to get back into my routine, catch up on chores, and honestly just lay in the bed with my thoughts. But now I know this. I didn't know this prior to July until I started to realize I was going a little bit crazy. And then I realized, okay, but I haven't charged my social battery. It's been go. I'm also in the middle of launching a podcast. There's a lot going on I'm not giving myself credit for. So in the future, when I have months like this, I can also block out a week to reset, get back on track. And in my next point, please learn to ask for help. This is probably one of my hardest things that I am still working towards. And even with my own husband, sometimes I have trouble asking for help and communicating my needs. And it's a lot harder than people think. I think a lot of it has to do with the way that you grew up. And I'm kind of learning like, oh, this is why I act that way. And me and AJ have grown up so different. So our dynamics of communicating are so different sometimes, but communication is everything in a relationship. So it's something we're both working hard on. And I feel like I have to work a little bit harder because I just grew up a little different than AJ. At the end of the day, nobody can read your mind. Nobody knows when you need help. And I hope that all of you have a sense of support around you, someone you could be honest with and say, I'm not feeling my best right now, or I need a little bit of a mental break. Could you help me out with XYZ? I think being more specific about what you need help with is even better. So even if you're like a mom that has kids, like I know nothing about being a mother, but maybe for you, that's like having alone time, even if it's for a day, and like leaning on friends or family to help you with babysitting or hiring a babysitter or whatever you can do to like get yourself back. Also shout out moms. Like I've been surrounded by so many moms and just in complete amazement of how you guys do it. Cause I'm like, I don't know how you do it. But truly, like being specific about what it is you need help with, what do you need support with? You just need some alone time. Who can we call to help you get that support? Who can we call to help you get that alone time? Like, what do you need? Sometimes that's not possible, but if you're able to communicate that because you're not in a completely terrible place yet, I think it's so important so people know how to show up for you rather just being like, I'm not doing good. Sometimes I feel like people don't know how to help. So the more specific you can be in where you need support, the better. Now that I've taken a break, I honestly feel so much better, so much more refreshed. I got my apartment in order, like I've caught up on my chores. I just feel like I'm ready to go into the week and get back to work now. And I feel like that's another reason why the breaks are so important. And again, I can't say it enough, the breaks are just important as the work. And I also feel like taking the breaks make me fall back in love with my job even more, because when I start to feel like it's too much much, or like I'm just not enjoying my day-to-day workflow anymore, I know I need a break too. That's like one of my signs as well, because I love my job. I literally have my dream job, trust me. And if it starts to feel stale to me, that means I gotta take a break like everybody else too. Another reason you need to continue to take these breaks is because it's gonna make you more sustainable and you're gonna be in it for the long haul. The people who are like hustle, hustle, hustle are going to inevitably burn out and crash. I'm sure you guys have seen a million videos of creators and influencers doing the whole
I'm burnt out, I need a break.
they all do it because it's really hard to know how to take breaks as a creator. But that goes for any job, okay? Sometimes people don't know how to stop and then they burn out and they're like, I don't know how I got here. Do you? You really don't? You know, you need to take breaks because the burnout is honestly worse. And if you get to the point of burnout, God bless, but you just gotta ride it out. It's okay if you get to the point of burnout, but use it as a lesson. I've gone through it. I feel like it's just kind of like a rites of passage kind of thing, especially when you're so passionate about something and you don't wanna stop. You wanna work on the weekends, you wanna work till 2 a.m. because you love what you're doing, but also having these hard cutoffs will make you last so much longer and create more sustainability for you in your career. But like, I love creating and I don't see myself ever not creating, but I don't want to get to a place where I hate it. So in order for me to continue to love this job, I have to take breaks from it. The last thing I want to leave you with, remember, you live in a society that wants you to work endlessly for their gain. Have you ever heard of capitalism? It's not made for vacations and people who want to take breaks. It's made for people who believe in that never stop working mindset. Capitalism is toxic. It is, but we live in a capitalistic society and it's just something you need to be aware of. And you have to listen to your body over them. Drown out the noise, drown out the hustle culture. Remember, you and your body know better than everyone and everything. Your body knows what you need and you can't ignore that. Working yourself into the ground, hustling to the point of no return is not worth it, especially when it starts to affect your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Like I said, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. Remember to take the break before the break takes you. I love you guys. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment below on ways that you help yourself to take breaks. I am always looking for ideas to continue taking breaks in healthy ways. I would love any creative ideas that you guys have. I love seeing your comments. So drop them down below. And of course, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already here and don't have the notification bell on, be sure to turn that on so you don't miss future videos. You can also find me on every other social platform. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I don't be tweeting like that. And when I do tweet, it's really random. So warning. But I'm Hey Bria Jones everywhere. Come follow me, come hang out. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.